Welcome to the danST Engineering Dyno. Today we have on a lovely example of a Porsche 944 S2 in a lovely blue colour. Really like that colour on it. It looks absolutely fantastic, almost matches my t-shirt. Yeah, so we've got this on the dyno today, and I just wanted to go over a few of the points for our individual throttle body kit which this car has been installed with. So it's come to us for the full install. But obviously a lot of people decide to buy these and fit them themselves. So I just want to go over a few of the points in terms of ignition timing, in terms of the fuel system, that sort of thing. We've done all of this in-house, so we've got first-hand experience of it, and we've managed to iron out a lot of the little niggles. So yeah, this is our kit. It's all available on our website. It's got the ME221 engine management package with it as well, so it's basically a full system, so you can do away with your original ECU and just run the ME221 for the engine management. So just a quick overview of the kit then. Obviously we supply a set of individual 50mm throttle bodies like that. Okay, got our nice CNC trumpets on there, all the linkages are made up and everything. We put a single connection on there, vacuum connection for the brake servo, so that you can retain that. And then, like I say, we do the ME221 engine management with a loom, so it's pretty much a plug and play loom. It plugs straight onto the crank tensor at the back, so you can see here I've just plugged straight onto the original one, and that will work off the 60-2 setting in the ECU, which is like a Vauxhall or GM, Bosch, all the same sort of thing. And I can give you the trigger offset for that, which is in the software, and that assumes that you are using a coil pack supplied by us, which is again a GM Bosch style coil pack. These coil packs are split that way, so if you imagine drawing a line down there, so it's not in line with the plug like a Ford Zetec, but it's actually split this way. So the bits I'm about to tell you relate to the fact that we've got this wasted spark system, so we've got one side of the coil here, one side of the coil there. Okay, so we are saying that for all of for the offset that I'm going to give you, which is the standard offset in our base map, it's going to work off that 60-2 trigger wheel if you have plug number 1 connected to there, plug number 4 connected to there. Okay, so those two are nearest the connector. Okay, and then we've got 2 and 3 connected to the other coil. Okay, so with that in mind, if we come round and have a look at the laptop. Okay, so if we take a look here in the engine driver, we're in the start menu, engine driver, trigger offset, we've got 239 degrees. With that put in there as a base map, you are going to be very close to base timing and the settings that are required to get this car up and running. So that is the ignition side of things. Moving on, we have the fuel side of things. So I've just got a couple of little things to cover. Now obviously when you remove your original inlet, you are no longer going to have a fuel pressure regulator. So we can provide an adjustable fuel pressure regulator like this. It actually mounts on these two existing holes quite nicely. You have to open the regulator up slightly if you want to do this. Obviously you don't have to mount this here, but it makes sense since your fuel lines are coming up here. Now on this car we've done away with the original metric fittings because these fuel lines were corroded, so we've had to cut them back below the wheel arch. So we've gone down into the wheel arch and joined using normal fuel hose, and then we've come up. This is plumbed as a deadhead system. Now there is a diagram available on our website of how to do a deadhead system, but basically it involves running your supply to your fuel rail, but putting a T-piece in, which is down here, which you probably can't see, but basically in your supply to your fuel rail, straight from the pump, you put a T-piece in, and the T-piece runs off to the regulator, which is this line here, and then from the bottom of the regulator, so this is the inlet, and this is going back to the tank, so this is the return on the underside. The other part is unused, and that would normally be where you would put your pressure gauge if you want to check the fuel pressure. So then you've just got a single fuel connection to the fuel rail that you can see underneath. Okay, so that's called a deadhead system, so there's no return line off the fuel rail. It's a fairly common system, like most modern cars run like that. The bike throttle bodies that we supply on some cars also run in the same way. So yeah, that is fairly much. I know one other thing to mention, the dreaded DME relay that causes many problems on these cars. So yes, it is dreaded, but it's only dreaded because they quite often fail. Now, this customer already had a nice diagnostic style DME relay, so it's got the LEDs on top to tell you when you've got power to your ECU and when you've got power to your fuel pump. So that's a bit of a way of diagnosing if you've got a problem with either of those circuits. So what we've done is made a little flying loom, as you can see. So we've laid it. It was in this slot here, okay, which is with the normal location. So all we've done is tap into it, and we've found the ignition live and the battery live here, as well as the supply to the fuel pump, and then we've just put a little flying set of leads round to the DME relay, which you can see laid in here, okay, and then we've got a separate little branch of this loom coming through the bulkhead to here. So this is basically, this has the ignition live coming from there, okay, to go to our ME221 ECU. It's got the smaller red, which is the, sorry, that's the ignition live. The larger one is the battery live, and then the small coloured one is the switched earth from the ME221, which now operates that relay. Now I'm going to create a little diagram to go on our website, so that will be explained in that diagram how we're doing that, but it's basically just taking control of that relay using the switched earth output from the ME221, which is the fuel pump output. That fuel pump output powers that relay, and that relay then still operates exactly as before. The diagnostic LEDs work, and it just works as it did before. We've just had to lay it down there, obviously, just because of the way the wiring is. So that takes care of that. So we fairly much keep it OEM. And also reversible should you ever wish to take all this stuff off and return the car to standard. So with all that said, it's time to get it on the dyno, do some mapping, and we'll see what it can do. Now, the original car that I did this on, you might have seen the YouTube video, was a car that we had here. It was my car actually. It was a bit of a wreck. I was going to restore it, never did, but whilst we had it here, we developed this 50mm throttle body kit. So we did that one about probably 4 years ago. It did a standard 204 brake horsepower, and then once it had the throttle bodies on and was fully mapped, it did 233 brake. So we've got about a 29-30 brake increase there. So it'll be interesting to see what this one will do. This one has already done 211 brake horsepower on the dyno as standard. We've already done that run, so we'll get it mapped up now and we'll see what we can get out of it. Hopefully it'll be a bit more, because this was a bit healthier. So it was 211 brake car rather than 204. This car does have, my car had the standard exhaust on it, but it was an early one, didn't have a cat. Now this has got the standard exhaust with the standard cat, because it's a 93 model. It's one of the very last models. So that cat's not going to do any favours, but aside from that, I think it should do pretty well. So let's find out. Dyno runs, done a bit of mapping, and I'm sure you'll agree that sounds absolutely fantastic, because these cars are standard, best will in the world. They're a lovely car to drive, really nice, but they do sound like a sewing machine, and there's just no denying that. and these throttle bodies absolutely transform it, make it sound absolutely superb. So yeah, it's done really, really well. If I turn you around so you can see the graph, this is an overlay of basically how it came in to how it is now. So the thinner lines are the latest run, okay, so that's with the individual throttle bodies. Obviously red is power, blue is torque. So as you can see, at no point in the revs, despite what many people will say about individual throttle bodies, does it lose any torque, okay? So, and there's not an argument to say that it's because it's been remapped, okay, because the fueling, as you can see, are both very, very similar, okay? So there's no sort of saying, well, it's been remapped as well, it's got standalone on it. This is the result of individual throttle bodies, as well as obviously a standalone ECU, but it's not the ECU that is creating that extra torque. Anyway, so as you can see, we've gained torque here. The only time the line touches, and it touches for a brief second, is just above 4,000 RPM. After that, it is considerably better. So we've got 235 brake horsepower there, versus the 211 brake horsepower of the original setup. But as you can see, it's basically better all the way through, 10 to 15 foot-pounds in this range, and then even more here, and it wants to rev considerably further, okay? So I usually sort of back off when it starts to trail off, which is why we stopped earlier on the standard car, but yeah, it just wants to carry on and rev. So as you can see, all that extra sort of free revving power. So yeah, that's come from our individual throttle body kit and ME221 ECU. It's all available on our website. So yeah, get yourself on there, have a look, and see what you think. If you want to bring your S2 up to date and give it that raspy ITV sound, then our website's the place to start. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. So the S2's all done. We've tidied up the wiring, tucked it all away, fitted the air filter that you can see behind us. Just one little detail in our kits that I wanted to mention. I forgot yesterday when we were on the dyno. Previously, when you bought one of our kits, you would have to cut the oil filler neck and relocate it by some means, which usually required a silicone hose or similar. Well, we've come up with a nice little addition which we're going to offer as a standalone product on our website, which is basically a 3D printed swan neck, so that your oil filler neck can be cut, section removed from it, and then the original cap re-glued onto the top. So yeah, we're going to offer that on the website. It basically means that you can orientate it where you like. So this may also do for somebody who's had a turbo plenum done or something similar, where again you need to clear the oil filler neck. So it basically, in the individual throttle body application, relocates it back here behind the throttle bodies, as you can see there. So you've got perfect access to it. So yeah, that's just another little product we're offering, and just might help you with your throttle body conversion, or like I say, any turbo plenums similar where you need to still need to access that. So yeah, check out our website and leave us a comment, subscribe, link, all the rest of it, blah blah blah. Bye.